Yeah, I just want to be the greatest.
It's your boy HifiVega, and as you can see, we are in the garage today. We're going to do a little SPL testing for the Old School SPL Challenge. If you guys don't know, there's a link in the description where you can join this if you want to. You have to use an amp that's 2006 or older, but the subs can be anything you want to be. You can power it however you want to power it. That's the basic gist of it. The windows do need to all be sealed up, so you're not going to be able to roll down, and your meter needs to be on the dash windshield area. It cannot be in the kick. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. So today I'm going to test 2 or 3 amps. This won't be a highly edited video because I need to go around and show that the windows are sealed and show the amp I'm using and all that, so people can see that the scores are legit. With all that being said, let's just get into it. Let's see what this Trooper's got. I've never run a sub in the Trooper, so I don't know how it's going to sound, how high of a decibel it's going to reach, but we're going to try it anyways and see what we get. Okay, I'm going to start my SPL testing. As you can see, I've got a couple of my favorite subs here, the Rockville K9s. They're actually pretty good for low power situations. That's why I'm using them. So in the Trooper, basically this is the only way the enclosure can go. It will not fit between these 2 humps. So in this SPL testing, there won't be moving the subs around to see the best placement. This is the way they are on this amp. Let me show you the first amp that I'm going to try. And also, you're going to get a sneak peek of the Trooper setup, but it's not in its final form, so keep that in mind. Alright, so the Trooper setup is spread out so I can test amps in here, and that was the purpose of it. But as you can see, I've got this wired up. It is the Punch 800.2, and this thing is pretty much a beast. Shout out to Chaz for letting me borrow this for this test. I'm also going to do a dyno on it because there is no dynos of this particular amp out there. So I'm only going to run this at 4 ohms on these subs. I don't want to get crazy. This is not my amp, but that should be a pretty decent run. I'm going to first kind of do some meter placement and see where I need to put the meter to get the best score. So let me get that done, and then we'll jump in and we'll see what kind of numbers I pull out of the Rockford Fosgate 802 and the Rockville K9 combo. Alright, I'm going to start my SPL testing by figuring out what the best frequency is, what the best dash placement up here is, and let me flip around and show you the meter. So I've got the meter here. Sorry, it's super bright outside. But I've got the meter here, and I'm going to start here. I will probably go to the middle and then to the passenger side. So once I figure out my best placement, low, high, wherever it may be, right, left, I'll figure out the frequency that that's at, and we'll try to burp it a few times and see what kind of numbers we actually get. Alright, so I've tried the position here, I've tried the position here, and at the passenger side, and the highest result was right here, and on the sweep it was a 138.2, I believe. I tried in the higher position up here on all 3 spots, and it is the best right here. So the first spot is what we're going with. Now I'm going to do one more run of the sweep, and then we're going to see what frequency it hit the highest number at, and we will go with that frequency for our burp. So let me start it over again. It's going to get loud. Alright, we didn't make our 138 again, so maybe I'll move it a little bit lower. But let me see if I can. 42 hertz. It's hard to see on camera, I know, but that's where we hit. So we're going to try at 40 hertz. We'll burp at 40, 41, 42, up to maybe 45 and see what we get. All right, let me go around and show you the doors. I forgot to show you the amp and the doors before we went, but we're completely sealed up. Obviously that's sealed. Sealed here. We're sealed up here. And let me go ahead and show you the amp again just so you can verify. It is the Rockford Fosgate. These amps are on, but nothing else. The RCAs are not plugged into them. And you can see the power LED on the Rockford Fosgate. So all right, the first run that I did was on the 800.2. That put me in the 251 to 500 watt power class. I got a 138.4. The next amp that I'm going to try is the Punch 225.2. This is rated 112.5 watts by 2 at 4 ohm stereo. This is going to put me in the 101 to 250 watt power class. Everything's wired up. And let me go ahead and hook it up and get it powered on here. Sorry. Okay, so I've got it powered on. Before I do my runs, I will just walk around and show you that all the windows are sealed here. And I'm using the Rockfield K9s again. Meter up on the dash, as you can see right there. So let me jump in. Okay, I've got the meter already set up, and as you can see here, it doesn't charge particularly high. We're just under 14 volts. I've got track 40 set up. Now I'm ready to just let it rip and see what this amp can do compared to the much bigger 800.2 or 800A2. We got 137.5. For my final run in this video, we had to bust out a different K9 subwoofer. This is the 15-inch dual 2 ohm subwoofer. We're gonna do a run in the 0 to 50 watt class, which, you know, just like back in the day, is as competitive as it gets in the challenge. I'm gonna have to do some more testing because this enclosure is tuned much lower than the other enclosure, which was tuned at 35 hertz. This one's tuned right around 30 hertz. So I'm gonna have to run a sweep again, see where we're at. But let me go around and show you the amp. Check out this red beauty right here. 225. This is the R series. Might actually be one of the best looking 225s. So as you can see, I got it wired up, and can I tell you guys how much I hate these Weco plugs here? Look at that. This is 10 gauge, so I am stretching the limits of what can go in here. I mean, I'm only running 8 gauge in the power plug. But yeah, I'm going to run a few sweeps, see what frequency I need to be at, and then I'll do my run and see what kind of numbers I get for the 0 to 50 watt class. All right, let's do the walk around. Sealed up here, sealed up here. Of course, all the back is sealed up. Sealed up here, sealed up here. Let's jump in and show you that the 225 is on and running. Let's go do our run. I'm going to unplug this lav mic during the run so that hopefully we can get some kind of decent audio. Okay, unplugging the lav mic now, and we're going to do our run starting at around 44 hertz. Alright, I want to try one more run with this 225. Maybe we can get it over 140. We were pretty close already, so I just want to go around and show you guys, you know, same setup. This amp is on. Let's see if I can, yeah. Alright, so let me close the door. Show you that they are all sealed. And then we're going to try the Big D tips here, the ones I believe he got from Mr. Stark. So I'm going to slide both seats up. Give me a second, sorry. Actually, I'm going to have to set this down. So I'll slide both seats up real quick. Actually, give me a second. I'll do that side first. Okay. There it is. So this seat all the way up. With the seat forward. Actually, I'm going to have to flip this down first. Flip down this visor, and I'm gonna scoop my seat up as far as I can. All right, let me reset the meter. We are at 43 hertz, so I'm just gonna let it rip. Okay, you've seen the scores. I guess we should go ahead and recap what I actually did, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about the challenge and how to enter it, even if you don't do Facebook. So let's start with the first one, of course. I mean, who am I without my cue cards? And I've got one right here. So the very first one, the Rockford Fosgate 800A2. Shout out to Chaz for sending this one to be dynoed and using this run. But I did a 138.4 decibels with two 12-inch K9s, and this is the 251 to 500 watt class. So I'm not sure where that lands me. I thought that was pretty impressive for a vehicle that I've never done SPL in. It's not really set up for SPL, and I've done only minimal testing, you know, kind of moving the mic around different spots, running a sweep, finding my peak frequency, and then going from there, trying a little bit lower frequency as well as a little bit higher frequency than the peak to see if I can kind of optimize my SPL. So that was my first run. My second run, surprisingly, was pretty close to the first run, and it was the Rockford Fosgate 225.2. This is a little bit older Rockford Fosgate. It done a 137.5 decibel. This is in the 101 to 250 watt class, and it is two 12-inch K9s. You guys can say what you want about those K9s, but these things are pretty efficient, and you know, like I said before when I reviewed them, they sound pretty good. So I decided to use them because I don't need a lot of power to make these get pretty loud. I'm not exactly sure where this lands me in the competition at this level, but hopefully it's, you know, at least in the middle of the pack. I don't want to be very last. The very last amp I wanted to test was for the 0 to 50, and you guys know this is my favorite amp of all time. It is the Orion 225 HCCA, and funny enough, this thing absolutely demolished both the other subs with much less power. It did a 139.8 decibel. This is in the 0 to 50 watt power class. That should at least get me middle of the pack. I hope it stays there. Who knows, you know, I'll probably get blown out of the water soon enough. But the thing is, I've done this with a single 15-inch K9 Rockville 15. I have a suspicion that if I tried that subwoofer wired to 4 ohms for these amps, that maybe I would get a better score than this. And that might be something that I'm willing to do in the future. If you guys like these old school SPL runs, let me know in the comments for sure. If I get enough views and enough likes on this video, I'll do a second round of testing, and I'll try just with the single 15 on some of these other amps, and maybe I have a few more amps coming. That being said, let's talk about how you can enter the challenge. So The easiest way is the Old School SPL Challenge Facebook group. I'll leave a link in the description below. If you do not like Facebook, totally get it. You can do your run on YouTube and then send me a link to 12vtalk@gmail.com. That will then forward that link to the guys that are putting all the scores up so they can handle that for you. And I'm going to try to do updates on 12V Talk about the scoreboard so people can kind of see where they're at and what's going on for the folks that are not on Facebook. With all that being said, I hope you did enjoy this video. And if you like this kind of content, podcasts, live streams, amp dynos, subwoofer test, all that type of stuff, go ahead and subscribe, ring the little bell, and you can see what I'm doing in the future. And for those of you that already do that, let me know what you thought about these runs in the comments. I definitely could have done a little bit more if I had time to kind of optimize my SPL, but you know, the life of a YouTuber, you're always short on time. So with all that, I think I'll just catch y'all on the next video. I'd like to thank all my Patreon supporters, but I want to give a special shout out to the $6 or more members: 2001 Monolithic, The Third Era, G Nava, Joaquin Juarez, El Fuego, Travis McClendon, Brandon Hanna, William Berg, Boxboy Audio Sound Solutions, Jesus Tires, Orion the Great, Chris Hanley, Dennis Cromwell Jr., Vin Quach, Scott Dilbick, D. Stewart, Derek Simpson, and Aaron Waltz. For as little as $2 a month, you can join the team and get Patreon exclusive content. I'm trying to reach my goal of $200 a month so I can do an exclusive podcast only for Patreon supporters. If you want to help me out, I am only $20 away from that goal. So check me out at patreon.com/HifiVega.